Today, we're taking a deep dive into Moonlake Immunotherapeutics. It's a company that really has quite rapidly carved out a significant name for itself in immunology.
It really has, and we've looked through articles, research, company reports to piece together their story.
Exactly. And our mission today is, well, to unpack the personal drives of the founders, explore the science, which is remarkable behind their lead drug, Sonolokimab.
And look at the clever financing they used to get off the ground and maybe where they're headed next.
Right. So by the end, you should have a really solid grasp of Moonlake and its potential future. Let's jump in.
It's a fascinating story, truly. Moonlake is, I think, a prime example of how clear scientific vision, plus that strategic execution, can genuinely disrupt a field, even against the big players.
Absolutely. And to really get how they've done so much so fast, you have to start at the beginning. Picture it. Early 2021, three quite different individuals come together. Their vision to build a biotech that's nimble, that can actually move faster than big pharma.
And leading the charge was Arnout Plus van Amstel.
Right, a Novartis veteran. He was key in launching Cosentyx, the IL-17A blockbuster. Still huge today.
Yeah. But Arnout saw a problem with that first-generation approach.
He did. What was it specifically?
Well, traditional antibodies like Cosentyx, they're quite large molecules. They only bind IL-17A, not IL-17F. And their size, it sort of limits how well they get deep into inflamed tissues.
Okay.
And that observation sparked what he called the IL-17 2.0 idea. He came across this novel Nanobody from Ablinks in Belgium that could bind both IL-17A and IL-17F.
A nanobody. That's different how?
Hugely different. Think of antibodies like big ships, nanobodies, tiny speedboats, maybe 1/10 the weight. They're incredibly stable, easy to engineer, and crucially, you can build multi-specific molecules with them, things bigger antibodies just can't do.
That tiny size is key then. And then comes Professor Christian Wright. Anyone in dermatology knows his name. World-renowned expert, 25-plus years treating psoriasis.
And like Arnout, he knew Cosentyx inside out. He understood that IL-17 pathway intimately.
So what was his insight?
His realization was that balanced inhibition hitting both IL-17A and IL-17F could give patients deeper, maybe more durable responses.
Okay, hitting both targets.
Exactly. And when he saw the design of this specific nanobody, it has these two domains neutralizing A and F, plus a third that binds human albumin that extends its life in the body.
The half-life trick.
Right. He was apparently blown away. That albumin binding also acts like a sort of homing beacon, concentrating the drug in inflamed skin and joints. Powerful, but also allows for monthly dosing. He saw the potential for better penetration right away.
So visionary scientist, top clinical expert, and then Dr. Jorge Santos da Silva. His background seems a bit different at first glance. Neuroscience PhD, but then a decade at McKinsey.
Right, leading their global biotech practices. He built this incredible network investors, pharma execs, and crucially, he became absolutely convinced nanobodies were the next big thing.
So he brought the business strategy.
That's where his genius was. When Arnout and Christian came to him with Sonolokimab, Jorge didn't just see a drug, he saw a platform. He actually called it a pipeline within a product.
A pipeline within a product, I like that.
That vision, plus his business know-how and network, was just essential. Getting the rights, finding the money. That was Jorge.
And they all shared this feeling, right? That big pharma was moving too slowly on this molecule.
Definitely. Merck KGaA had licensed it from Ablinks way back in 2013. But by 2020, Merck was shifting focus on oncology, neurology. There was a real risk this amazing molecule could just sit on a shelf.
So Arnout, Christian, and Jorge saw their opening.
Exactly. Build a lean company, totally focused on inflammatory diseases, operating at startup speed. And Moonlake AG was born in Switzerland, March 2021.
Okay, so let's talk about the star. Sonolokimab itself, it came from Ablinks, now part of Sanofi.
That's right, the nanobody pioneers. Sonolokimab has those three nanobody domains. Two neutralize IL-17A and F, and a third one binds albumin.
Extending half-life, concentrating the drug, we got it.
Precisely. Makes it very effective.
And Merck KGaA, they had already done some work.
Quite a bit, actually. Licensed it in 2013, partnered with Avillion for a phase 2b study, 313 patients, moderate to severe psoriasis.
And the results.
Hit all primary and secondary endpoints. Really robust responses. And interestingly, while it wasn't a direct head-to-head comparison, it numerically outperformed Cosentyx in that study.
Wow. So it looked good, but Merck was pivoting.
Exactly. They started looking for partners. Arnout and Christian heard this and moved incredibly fast.
What was their pitch?
Not just psoriasis. They proposed launching clinical programs simultaneously across HS, psoriatic arthritis, axial spondyloarthritis.
That's ambitious.
Extremely. But that pipeline within a product vision, that multi-indication strategy, that's what convinced Merck that Moonlake could really unlock the Nanobody's full potential.
So the deal, what did it look like?
Moonlake agreed to pay $25 million upfront in cash, plus potential development milestones down the road and low-teen percentage royalties on future sales.
Standard enough.
But here's the clever part. Merck also got a 9.9% equity stake in Moonlake.
Ah, aligning incentives. Smart.
Very smart. Made Merck invested in Moonlake's success.
Okay, but $25 million up front. Where did Arnaut and Christian get that?
That brings us back to Jorge. His network was absolutely key. Within weeks, they had a Series A financing round.
Weeks? That's fast.
Led by BVF Partners, a hedge fund known for, let's say, high-risk, high-reward biotech investments. And Merck themselves invested too.
Merck invested in the company taking their drug. That's a vote of confidence.
Huge vote of confidence. Gave them instant credibility and, critically, the cash they needed.
So drugs secured, money in the bank. Now they could execute that pipeline within a product strategy.
Exactly. And it's central to how they operate. One nanobody, Sonolokimab, applied across multiple diseases, all driven by that same IL-17AF pathway.
What are the advantages of doing it that way?
Oh, they're substantial. Shared manufacturing, shared safety data, streamlined regulatory work. It dramatically cuts costs and time for each new indication.
Like building different models on the same car chassis.
Great analogy. Each new indication is like a separate franchise, but it benefits from all the common infrastructure. It does put all their eggs in one basket, asset-wise.
True, there's risk there.
But the efficiency gains are massive. Allows them to pursue multiple approvals, maybe even in parallel.
Okay, let's walk through that initial pipeline. Hidradenitis suppurativa, HS chronic, painful skin disease, affects maybe 1% of people.
Up to 1%, yeah. And really, not many good treatments available. So Moonlake launched the MIRA trial, phase 2, 234 patients.
And they set a bold endpoint, high score 75. What does that mean and why is it significant?
Good question. High score 75 means a 75% reduction in those painful abscesses and nodules. Most HS trials aim for high score 50, a 50% reduction.
So 75% is a much higher bar.
Much higher. Moonlake was signaling, we're aiming for deep remission, something life-changing, not just moderate improvement.
Okay, bold move. Next.
Psoriatic arthritis, PSA. That's one with both skin psoriasis and joint inflammation. Their ARGO trial was the first placebo-controlled nanobody study in PSA, 207 patients. Compared Sonolokimab to placebo and adalimumab, aiming to show benefit in both joints and skin.
Right. And axial spondyloarthritis affects the spine.
Primarily, yes. We know the IL-17 pathway is involved. Cosentyx is approved here. So the SOLARIS phase 2 trial is asking, does deeper AF inhibition offer more benefit?
Makes sense. And the last one.
Palmoplantar pustulosis, PPP, rare, really debilitating. Painful pustules on hands and feet, no approved biologics. The Liditide trial is basically phase 2 proof of concept.
And this isn't the end of the list, presumably.
Probably not. Because IL-17AF is involved in other conditions, they've mentioned things like generalized pustular psoriasis, pyoderma gangrenosum. If Sonolokimab works well in these initial areas, they can expand relatively quickly. That's the beauty of the strategy.
It wasn't just the indications, though. Christian Reich's experience shaped the trial designs, too, right? Choosing specific endpoints.
Absolutely crucial. Making sure the endpoints resonated with regulators and doctors, like including quality of life measures in MIRA for HS or that specific lesion count, IHS 490.
And those composite responses in the PSA trial, unpack that for us.
Sure. ACR 50 is 50% improvement in joint symptoms. PSI 90 is 90% improvement in skin clearance. Getting both together is tough. It means the drug is really tackling both major aspects of the disease effectively for that patient.
Addresses the whole picture for the patient.
Exactly. Regulators and doctors care about that overall impact.
Okay, so by late 2021, promising drug, clear multi-disease plan, but they needed serious cash for phase 3 trials. Big money.
Right. And traditional VC rounds take time, can dilute existing shareholders quite a bit, so they took a different path.
The SPAC route.
Yes. Combining with Helix Acquisition Corp., a special purpose acquisition company.
SPACs were a bit controversial around then. Why did Moonlake choose that path?
Good point. There were risks. But for Moonlake, it offered two main things. One, speed, faster access to public markets, and a bigger pool of capital.
Okay.
Two, anchor investors. It brought in Cormorant and BVF, investors who understood biotech and backed their single asset strategy. This gave Moonlake a much longer cash runway for those expensive late-stage trials.
So it was about getting the funding secured quickly.
And securing it from knowledgeable backers. It was bold, going public so early with just one asset, no revenue, but it clearly felt transparency and access to public capital was the fastest way forward.
And the deal closed April 2022. They started trading as MLTX on NASDAQ.
That's right.
Okay, now the crucial part, the data. Did Sonolokimab actually deliver? The first big proof point came from MIR and HS, right?
It did, and the results were, well, pretty remarkable. At 24 weeks, 57% of patients on maintenance dosing hit that high-score 75 endpoint, 75% reduction.
57%. How does that compare?
It's unprecedented in HS. Adalimumab, the approved biologic, usually gets around 50% hitting high-score 50. Getting anywhere near high-score 75 or 90 is rare. Moonlake, aiming for 75, wasn't just ambitious. The data showed it was achievable and potentially transformative.
And beyond the score, how did patients feel?
Significant improvements reported in pain, quality of life, ability to work. Both doses, 60 milligrams and 120 milligram monthly, worked well, maybe slightly better responses at the higher dose. And importantly, the safety looked good. No new signals compared to other IL-17 drugs. Very few people dropped out. That's huge for long-term use.
Okay, impressive in HS. What about psoriatic arthritis, the AirJo trial?
Similar story, encouraging results. At week 12, 46-47% hit ACR 50. That 50% joint improvement versus just 9% on placebo.
Big difference. And the skin.
Even better. 77% achieved PASI 90, 58% got complete skin clearance.
Wow, complete clearance for nearly 60%.
And it held up. The 24-week update showed ACR 50 over 60%, ACR 70 hitting 40%. That's deep joint response. And over 80% kept their PASI 90, 60% stayed at 100.
So sustained results.
That really stands out compared to historical data for adalimumab. It strongly suggests that hitting both IL-17A and F gives you superior results in both joints and skin. Maybe better than TNF inhibitors or IL-17A only drugs.
A potential step change in efficacy then.
It certainly hints at that.
So boiling it down, what makes Sonolokimab unique compared to other options?
Okay, a few key things.
Yeah.
One, its small size. Being a nanobody lets it get into inflamed tissues maybe better than larger antibodies.
Deeper penetration.
Two, balanced IL-17AF inhibition. It hits all three forms of the IL-17 dimer AA, AF, FF, potentially a more complete blockade.
Leaving nothing untouched.
Possibly. Three, that albumin binding domain. Extends half-life, concentrates the drug at the inflammation site, allows that monthly dosing.
Right, the homing beacon effect.
And four, the nanobody platform itself.
Yeah.
Efficient to produce, potential for future engineering, multi-specifics.
And it really showed confidence setting those high bars in the trials, didn't it? High score 75 in HS.
Absolutely. They weren't aiming for just as good. They were aiming for clearly better. Christian Reich even said choosing high score 75 for HS was one of his proudest moments. It signaled their intent.
So with strong phase 2 data, they moved fast into phase 3.
Hit the ground running. In 2024, they launched VELA 1 and VELA 2, the phase 3 trials in HS, about 350 patients each, plus a pediatric trial, VELA Teen, started early 2025.
And for PSA.
The IZAR 1 and IZAR 2 phase 3 trials are planned for later in 2025. Meanwhile, the LEDA trial in PPP and SLERIS and AXPAD-A are ongoing. And they've mentioned a global psoriasis program called READY2. Still executing that pipeline within a product idea.
Okay, let's talk money again. How are they fixed financially for all this late-stage work?
Remarkably strong position, actually. As of Q2 2025, they had $425 million in cash. Plus, they secured up to $500 million in non-dilutive financing from Hercules Capital.
Non-dilutive financing.
They got access to that capital without issuing more stock shares. So it doesn't dilute the ownership of existing shareholders.
So they get the cash without potentially hurting the stock price.
Exactly. It gives them a huge war chest to fund these big phase 3 trials, extending their cash runway well into 2028 without needing to sell more equity right now. R&D spending is going up, naturally about $50 million in Q2, but they seem well-resourced.
And the market potential is huge if it works out. HS alone projected at $15 million by 2035.
Massive opportunity, yes.
They're also making strategic moves beyond trials, right? Partnerships.
Yes, in 2025, they announced a collaboration with Komodo Health, using real-world data to help with trial design, patient recruitment. That's smart, leveraging data analytics.
And then there are the inevitable acquisition rumors.
Always swirling around successful biotechs. Mid-2025, reports suggested Merck offered over $3 billion to buy them back. Moonlake hasn't confirmed anything, but it definitely shows how valuable Sonolokimab looks to big pharma.
Which raises the big question: stay independent or sell?
It's the classic biotech dilemma, isn't it? Partnering or selling could de-risk things, leverage big pharma's global reach. Staying independent means more control, potentially capturing more upside.
Where do they seem to lean now?
For now, they seem focused on driving the programs forward themselves. They have the cash, they have the data partnerships. But you have to imagine the results from the VLA, HS, and IZAR phase 3 trials will be hugely influential on that decision. Strong data makes both independence and a high-value sale more likely.
So, looking back at their journey so far, what are the main takeaways for you?
I think, first, the power of having visionary founders with complementary skills. Arnaud's commercial background, Christian's clinical depth, Jorge's strategic and financial acumen, that combination was potent.
A well-rounded team from day one.
Second, it really highlights Nanobody technology. Small size, modular design. It enables therapies that might genuinely be superior. Third, that pipeline within a product strategy. It shows how one great asset can build a whole company, even with the risk involved.
And fourth,
Creative financing. Smart Series A, using the SPAC effectively, securing that non-dilutive debt. It shows smaller companies can find ways to fund big ambitions.
so what's next on the immediate horizon?
The big one is phase 3 results for HS from the VLA trials, expected around September 2025. Then PSA results from IZAR will follow, plus data from the other indications.
Which could lead to regulatory filings when?
Potentially as early as 2026, maybe a launch in 2027 if all goes well. The next couple years are absolutely critical.
They'll really show whether Sonolokimab becomes that IL-17 2.0 they envisioned.
Exactly. And whether Moonlake establishes itself as a standalone biotech powerhouse or becomes part of a larger company's story.
It's definitely a story still unfolding. And its outcome, well, it could genuinely change how we treat inflammatory diseases. Thanks for joining this deep dive.